Alright, y'all. So today I'm gonna do a kind of in-depth video. I'm kind of tired of all these hanging out over here, so I'm finna show y'all right quick how y'all can propagate your collards. Look at all them stems. Here come Felix. So let me do some small ones first. Let me do these over here. Fee, you coming? I just got this is a pot of soil. Fee, back up and talk to the people. You can't. Come here, Fee. Come here. You can't just be all up in the camera like, okay, I'm not finna go back and forwards with you. Do you, Felix? Felix, I'm not finna go back and forwards with you. Step one, assassinate your cat. So I'm gonna do some smaller branches. Y'all see these branches over here? These are the branches that I'm gonna do. So I'm just gonna break this off. Y'all see that? You don't even have to cut it. Just break it off. Just break it off. Now, when you go from here, feet just over there, just hollering. Okay, so what you want to do now is you want to take off all the extra leaves. Okay. And the reason why you want to do this is this cutting needs to put a lot of energy into putting on some roots and not be using all the energy that's in the stem. It doesn't need to use all of that to be trying to sustain leaves. It needs to work on roots first. So let me say this. Can y'all see each little spot, like right here where that's a little stem trying to come out right there, right there. Everywhere there would have been a leaf coming out, that's a node. Here's another one, here's another one. So each one of those places are potentially where roots could come out. Y'all tell me what he inspecting for. Yeah, I'm cutting your paycheck. I just want to let you know that it's gotten to the holiday season and you've gotten out of order. Okay, so now what you want to do is, what I usually do is, I usually just shove that sucker in all the way down. And then we're going to get another piece. So let me come in here. And I'm probably going to do 3 or 4 in this pot. Now, they're not going to stay in here forever. This is just to get them rooted. And you don't have to do it in a pot either. You can do it right in your garden bed if you want to. Because I'll show you some ones that I've done directly in the bed and they took. You may be asking, how many leaves should I take off? I usually leave, I don't leave many. I leave just enough. So in this case, I'm leaving, 2-3 leaves. And then, you got this little stem down here. I'm going to leave that too. But anyway, and I just try to, I'm going to have to make a hole for this one because it's being belligerent. So what I try to do is I try to stab it in, but I do try to make sure that the leaf part is pointing upwards. It don't have to be pointing upwards, y'all. These plants are so smart that even if you was to plant that kind of sideways, catty corner, laying down, that thing would still straighten up and find the sun. So I'm gonna break off another one. Now let me say this, look at Felix. Felix, am I doing it right? Why are you doing all this investigating? But anyway, so I'm still just doing the same thing. Now let me say this. Size of your cutting doesn't really matter. Felix, you kind of messing up my focus. Felix, get out the way. Anyway, somebody may ask, well, does it matter how big? It doesn't matter. I just like to make sure I have enough stem here. I'm going to tell you why. The more of those nodes that you have that I was talking about, the more nodes that you have, that's the more chances and places for it to root. For instance, you could take this cutting and imagine it just from my fingertips up. You could do that, but you see you only have about 2 or 3 nodes before you reach that top, and you don't want to bury the top. Well, you only have 2 or 3 chances for that to take root. But in this case, I have that one, this one, that one, you know, just every little place. So the longer that stem, the better your chance of your stuff taking root. I'm gonna end up doing more than 4 in here. Like I said, you can do it's no rule or rhyme or reason of how many you can do in this little pot, because like I said, this is temporary. This not gonna stay in this pot forever. And like I said, don't worry about taking these leaves. And another thing, you can do this is not just for collards, or just it's mainly for any brassica. I've done this for cauliflower before. I've done it to broccoli before. And see, let me show you this. Y'all see all of those nodes down there? Once again, that's a place. You see what I'm saying? That's an opportunity for all of those to take root. And like I said, I'm just gonna keep, and y'all might be wondering why I'm doing this. Here's the thing. If you leave these branches like this here, will they continue to make leaves? Yes, but the leaves will stay very, very small. Now, like I told y'all before, I don't mind smaller leaves on my collards. I don't have to have leaves that big as a dinner plate. If y'all saw in the comments, I think it was Missy Grando had said that you know, that sometimes those leaves can be tough when you have them, you know, that big. And that is true. Sometimes they can be tougher when they're that big. Now see, this one is longer. Could I have cut that down? Yes. But what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna bury the bottom. That one's just gonna be a little longer. That's all there is to it. But if you take these off and root them, you're gonna get 2 things to happen. These plants will get bigger because they'll have their own root system. I kind of almost look at these as if they're suckers on a tomato plant. And what I mean is, they never really get big because their branches off of those big branches. You see how that branch is thicker, so you get bigger leaves? Well, these are some more branches, just little bitty branches. You get what I'm saying? So when you have these little bitty branches, if you root them, they'll get their own rooting system, and then they'll grow bigger because they have their own roots. They're not having to suck their nutrients from way back on the plant, because y'all think about that plant is planted way over there somewhere, so it's bringing nutrients from a long way over here. You get what I'm saying? I'm gonna tell you something else you could do. If they branch off in there in your bed, these stems that are down here on the ground, just cover them stems with dirt. Just cover those stems with dirt, and they will definitely root for you. Now, all of these leaves that I took off are not going to go to waste. They will be mulch down in here to help keep, because you want to keep these moist. You've got to keep this soil moist. I'm sorry, y'all can't even see what I'm doing. You've got to keep this soil moist in order for these to take and to do right. If you let them dry out, your chances of this rooting is going to be very, very low. So you want to make sure that you mulch this. And I try to mulch it pretty good, and I don't waste no leaves. I just use those. Maybe I'll show y'all some bigger ones. Now, see, let me show you. See this? Can y'all see that where it was touching the ground? Let me try to get some of this pine straw out the way. Y'all see where it was touching the ground? Y'all see those roots? The sunlight over here isn't that good, but you see where my hand is? Y'all see all those roots? That's where it was touching the ground. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to break that whole thing off, because that's already letting me know that it wants to root. See all those roots? Pull that pine straw there. And all it did was touch the ground and it started rooting. That's why I said these things are a lot like tomatoes in a way. They're a lot like tomatoes. And so now that I've broken this branch off, I'm going to go over here. I'm going to show y'all how I'm going to do. I got to be strategic because I have so many of these laid out so many different ways down in here. Maybe I'll do it like that. Okay, maybe I'll do it, lay it like that. Okay, so I kind of lay my plant where I want it. And then what I'm going to do is dig this dirt back where I'm going to actually lay it at. I'm going to try to loosen some of this. Okay. Now, you see I got that part laid down in the dirt. Now I'm going to take all this dirt and stuff and put it back over top. I know it's hard for y'all to see. I got so much pine straw and all kind of stuff going on over here. But like I said, you just want to make sure you get that covered. Oh, all these beans, they were growing. So I guess I'm going to have some beans over here. I had put some Great Northerns over here as a cover crop. And I didn't know if it was going to take or not. And you know what I should have did before I started this? Was take a bunch of this off. All these leaves. Take a bunch of these leaves off. Because the bigger the stem, the less the leaves you want on here. Because like I told you, you don't want this thing trying to keep all these leaves alive. You want it to put its energy towards making roots. And what'll happen is, and also these leaves will make it lose moisture faster. So I know that looks drastic, but you want all that to come off. And then these little branches here. And I don't know if y'all can see what I'm doing. See if you can see it clearly. I'm going to back up in a minute here and show you. Y'all have to bear with me. My allergies cutting up today. My eyes itching, my nose running. That's how you know the weather ain't right, cause it ain't supposed to be like this, people. So you see where this potentially touch the ground? Anywhere where it'll potentially touch the ground, I try to cover it with at least a little dirt, or make sure that the stem is in contact with the dirt. And like I said, all them leaves I took off. That's that. Now you want to water that in real good. Now when you do it in these beds, if you don't water no other part of your bed, make sure you water those cuttings. And I want to show you this. You see how when it get cold, these leaves actually will turn purple on you. Well, this particular variety, they'll turn purple on you before they turn yellow. But yeah, when you got a big one like that, that's how you can just put it in your bed and do. And like I said, all of them won't take. That one I probably won't have no problem with it taking. Those were done the same way. That was one little bitty cutting, and it branched out into 3 over there. So when you have these collars that come all out of your beds and stuff, and you want to kind of tidy this up, because over time I get tired of stepping around this, mowing around it, weed eating around it. And I am going to do the rest of these. I'm going to get me another pot and probably do the rest of these. And then this will probably be one big one. But that's the way, really, you can propagate and clone your plants without having to worry about, am I going to get it? Is it going to be different? No, it's going to be identical to whatever you broke it off of. It's not like seeds. Seeds aren't always genetically identical. I want to show you this. This is one that I did a while back that I broke off on accident, and then I rooted it. This is another one over here. Both of these have taken. So yeah, those are some accidentals. Let me tell you about these. Whatever you do in a pot, do not leave them in the sun like that. You see how I got a shady spot right here? When you first start rooting them, if you can, you want them to be in the shade. I know that one over there is not really going to be in the shade, but I'm going to water it in really good. And you want to make sure you keep it wet, keep it wet, keep it wet, keep it wet. Well, I shouldn't say wet, but not soggy, but you get what I'm saying. Because you want that stem to stay moist to encourage those roots to grow. Over here, this is another one I did. See, this is an ideal situation. If you notice, this cutting is in the shade. That one is going to take. This is another one that I did right here. I thought no, somebody. You see it? Can y'all see? I pulled him out just to see was he taking, and he is. But it really looked like he's so deep in there. I don't know why I planted them so deep. But anyway. But it looks like that one has rooted. I'm going to make sure I water that back in real good because I disturbed him by pulling them up out of there. There was another one I put down here somewhere. Oh, in the front. I'll show you that one. And this will be a good thing to show y'all so that y'all know. When you have them in the sun and you didn't take off enough leaves, see how it's drooping a little bit? But the leaves in the center are still standing up. These leaves that's drooping, just take them off. I did water that today. So that's kind of the fight you have when you do them and they in the sun like that. Sometimes it takes them a little longer to root. Sometimes you have to water them a little more. But that's kind of the fight that you have with that. But yeah, y'all, so if you live in the climate where I live, you don't get any snow. You could do this anytime. You could even do this in the house. If it's fall, winter, or whatever, you can do it. You can do it in the house. Break them before the snow and stuff. Break you off some, put them in a pot and put them in the house. And let them root in the house for you. Just keep them above freezing. That's what you can do for those. But yeah, that's pretty much. Oh, let me try to show y'all this other one I did over here. We're gonna see. Yeah, it's looking good. So this is actually off of one of those kaolette plants, because kaolettes, can y'all see that? If I hold the camera straight, you can. So kaolettes do not, they do not make seeds because they are hybrid. Now let me say this, can you buy seeds for them? Yes, you can. But they do not make seeds. They are like certain kale hybrids that don't make seeds. But now that I've figured out if you keep them long enough that they branch, because I remember at one point in time I was telling y'all, I was saying that I don't know about how good the kale would be, the kaolettes would be down the long run because they don't make seeds where they're sustainable. In my opinion, they are. The reason being is because they make so many branches. They make so many branches, and I need to come in here and really get cuttings off of a lot of these branches. I mean, just because that's one plant. It just branched off that many times. It's just like my collards. Because I keep them so long, because see, let me show you what happens. And the way I harvest them makes them do this too. A lot of people are cutting their whole plants down. I don't really recommend that if you don't have to. Collards can actually grow. Like I said, if you don't get snow, even if it gets cold, sometimes your collards can make it. It just depends. But because of the way I harvest them, y'all, come in here. Y'all see those dark places? That's where I take the leaves. So when I take the leaves, I break that stem off. Everywhere I break that stem off, you see where you got stuff growing out? That's how you get those branches. Every time this harvesting method is called cropping. So you crop you crop all the bottom leaves off and you leave the tops on. It's similar to how you grow Brussels sprouts. And I know Brussels sprouts is a little different because it grows the actual little Brussels sprouts in the right where the stem was. But this is similar in that these, when you crop those leaves off and you crop the tops of those plants out, it'll go to branching on you. And you just never know how many times it's going to branch. Some of them branch more readily than others. It took a long time for these to branch. But these, for whatever reason, their genetics over here, they branch almost immediately. Because you can kind of see how many different... Because see, I'm telling you, next year when this grow in, all those little bitty stems that you see along the stem. See, can I show y'all without killing myself? I'm about to fall. See right here, you see this leaf? See what I'm saying? That's going to become a branch. That one will be one. All these places where you see these baby leaves, these little pointy things growing out. And like I said, those dark places, that's where that original stem was. It's just like a tomato or pepper or whatever. Right in that little crotch, it's going to grow you some more plant. And then you can see, like I said, I keep my stuff so long. It gets so many branches. I don't too much mind it if it branches in there, but when it starts leaning out here, that's when I start breaking off and propagating. Because it becomes a hassle to try to mow around it and all that. That stuff just becomes a hassle. That one's going to branch a lot too. These are some pretty ones. These remind me of cabbage collards. I don't know how I got this to do this. These are my personal seeds that I was growing, like Georgia collards and Alabama blues and Vates, and they crossed, and that's where you get those pretty purple ones. They look like a lot like Alabama blues. They're darker. So, and Aisha, them the ones I saved you seeds from. So I can't guarantee you're gonna get exactly that, but you should get something close. But just remember, plant a lot of seeds, because if you plant 2 or 3 seeds, you may not get what you're looking for as they come up. If the baby leaves are purple, hang on to them. If the baby leaves are green, rip them out. That's not what you want. Because I can tell you those were purple from the day they came in. When the baby leaves came in, they were purple. And I knew that the plant would be pretty much purple. Now in the summertime, they're more green. When it gets colder, because of what plants do as far as their chlorophyll and photosynthesis and stuff, they turn more purple, more bluish. Same thing with those kaleettes. Those are that's the purple variety. I forget what they call that variety. But anyway, this video is long enough so y'all know how to, and I'm gonna give y'all an update on those to show you how many rooted, to show you if the big one rooted over there, and I'll give you an update on the ones that are already in the beds or whatever. So until next time, see you guys later.